friends, welcome back to my channel. So I have some hair from Hairinbeauty. They did send me some bundles. Okay, this is their straight hair. The longest length I have, I believe, is a 26-inch, and I have 3 bundles and a closure. So I'm going to show you guys how exactly I make my wigs on a sewing machine with the closure. So I've showed you guys and gave you a detailed tutorial on how I do it with a frontal. Okay, so you want to take all of that information of how to thread your machine and everything like that. You want to take that video, which I will leave in the iCards above at the end of this video and in the description box. Okay, so I would say watch that video first, and if you don't know how to measure your head, watch my first ever how to make a wig video, and I'll leave that in the description box as well for you to, so you can refer to that. Alright, so this is going to be how I make a closure wig. It's going to be simple and sweet. You want to make sure you pull your closure a 1/2 inch or 1 inch above the actual free edge of your dome cap. Alright, that is because it's going to give you the most natural look when it comes to applying your closure or your wig onto your head. Alright, because you definitely want to end up cutting those little side tabs, the seam tabs of the closure off, so and it looks better that way. All right, so make sure your closure is flush to your cap, and you want to outline it, and you're outlining it because I'm going to remove the closure. I just feel like I work better and faster when the closure is not adhered to the wig first. I just feel like, you know, I could just move quicker. Okay, so as of right now, it takes me about 15 minutes to make a sewing machine wig, and I will never go back to a handmade wig ever again. It's just super fast, super easy, and especially when I have a lot of wigs to make for customers or for YouTube. Okay, so yes, so because I have 3 bundles and the bundles they didn't look that big, I decided that I was going to single track my wefts onto my cap. All right, so the first bundle I doubled, and that's like 3 rows. All right, it just depends on how big your bundles are, but because I have longer lengths, the bundles are not going to be like, it's not going to take a lot of rows on the wig. All right, so I would double the first bundle, and then I single tracked the rest, and I literally only had a little piece of hair left. All right, so so a lot of you guys get antsy when I say the guidelines is just a guideline. You do not have to stick to how many rows I'm doing, because then different manufacturers have different amount of hair in their bundles. The shorter length your hair is, the more wefts you get. The longer length your hair, the shorter wefts you get. So it's just up to you to just use general, like a guesstimate as to how many rows you should have. So I would say, if you would ask me, if you have 4 bundles, then you would definitely want to double weft your bundles and then sew it onto your tracks. Onto your cap. Okay, if you have 3 bundles, you can either sew them single tracked without doubling them, or you could double 1 bundle, which is your last bundle. Okay, and then you could single track the rest of them, or you could single track the entire bundle. All right, if you have 2 bundles, just go ahead and single track that, because it makes no sense for you to double track 2 bundles, because it's really gonna look super gappy. All right, so you just have to think about it that way. The more hair you add on to your wig, the more you're gonna double your tracks. Okay, simple. And let me say, if you have 4 bundles and you want to single track all of those tracks onto that wig cap, that is fine, but I am going to let you know your wig is not going to have as much stretch, because as you see, there's spacage in between each track, so that space is letting my wig still expand. All right, the more tracks you put on there, the harder it's going to be for your wig to expand. I hope that makes sense. So let's talk about sewing. So I'm going to hold the 2 strings in the back. I'm going to make sure that my wefts and my cap are aligned with my guidelines. All right, it's just like driving, so you just want to make sure that your weft and your guidelines are on top of each other, and you want to put both of them under your presser foot. All right, there's going to be an elastic band in your cap. All right, you want to stitch all the way to the ending of the elastic band before the actual thin part of the cap starts. Alright, and once you do that, you want to stop, and you want to press your backwards button, which is right there in front of my machine right there. Yes, press that down. It's going to go backwards, and you want to go back to the beginning of the elastic band, and then you want to come back. That's how you lock in your stitch. You definitely want to lock in your stitch, because if you don't, your track will slip out. You want to make sure that that thing is locked. You want to back foot, yes, go front, go back, go front, sew it on down and everything like that. All right, so the reason why I don't use pins to keep my tracks in place on my cap is because of the fact that I want to make sure that I can maneuver my cap, and my cap is flat and it's not getting sewn on top of each other, because it's very easy for you to sew the wrong way on the sewing machine, and your cap gets stitched to each other the wrong way, and it's a headache trying to unstitch that, like getting some scissors or a seam ripper and trying to take that apart. All right, so like it's just a headache, and I like to work headache free. If I have to stop and, like, you know, straighten my track up or straighten my cap up and making sure everything is, you know, smooth and flat while I'm sewing, then I will just go ahead and do that. All right, so yes, so as you see, I am just sewing, and she's neat. Like, you definitely want your inside of your cap to look like this. You know, it's gonna get it's gonna take some time for you to get comfortable with your sewing machine, but you're gonna get there though. You're definitely gonna get there. Just take your time. Don't have high expectations to move as fast as I am, because there's people that make sewing machine wigs faster than 15 minutes. Take your time. Put on a bomb movie. Turn on some bomb music. Just vibe out. This is very therapeutic, especially once you're doing it. But like I said in my last sewing machine video when I was showing you guys how to make a frontal, I will highly suggest, if this is your first time doing this, to do it on synthetic hair. Practice on synthetic hair. Do not mess up your expensive bundles trying to figure out how to use a sewing machine, okay? Or if you have old bundles, then that's cool. But practice on some synthetic hair, because I know my first wig was horrible. Like, it was horrible. I gave it to my mom and she wore it. She was proud to wear it, but it was bad. But like, it took some time for me to get this neat. All right, and another reason why I make sure that my cap and my wefts are super neat is because the hair could get into the machine and it could just be a headache trying to clean it out. All right, so this is what the wig looks like. I'm gonna cut off all the excess string that's underneath the wig, because you will have that. And then this is just what the cap looks like, and she's ready for the closure. Like, I'm gonna show you right here. I'm gonna put the wig on without the closure, and like, this would be a U part, right? But if I was to sew a U part, I would make sure that the U area where there's no hair is a little bit smaller, because I wouldn't want somebody to leave that much of my hair out. So I will make sure it was smaller, but that's the perfect size for your closure, because we measured it out. So let's put the closure on. So I'm gonna sit the closure on, and I'm gonna pin it back down, and I'm gonna hand stitch it, do a couple of hand stitches, just so I could put the closure and the wig through the sewing machine. Now, some people don't do this. Some people could just sew it, but I like to be precise, so I don't mind taking the time out to hand stitch that specific area and then going over it with my sewing machine. Like I said, I'm not as detailed in this video because I just feel like I was super detailed in my first sewing machine video and my first wig making video ever. So if you are just a newbie and you just want to know where to start, like I said, I will link both of those videos. Well, I will link all of my how to make a wig videos down below for you guys, so you can just pick and choose which one you want to go through. But I definitely think that you should watch all three of them. I think it's about three of them. All three of them, so you could just grasp everything that I'm saying, because you know, different method calls for different methods. So yeah, so at this point I'm gonna just cut the string, and then we just gonna sew her on together on the sewing machine, and we're gonna cut off the excess material underneath the lace. So the reason why I like the way that I make my wigs is because, like, say you have a wig, right? And your lace tears, or your wig is going bald, or something like that, or it's just time to replace it. You can easily just cut that lace closure out and just put a new one in, because we did like an anchor stitch to make it closed in. So we sewn that closure right on the last track, so it's easier for you to cut that off than having to remake an entire wig. So your wig in, so yeah, like, I just like being able to have that option, and I have that option with my closures as well. But this is the wig. She is very silky and long, and she's glueless, how I like her. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comment area.